Fenty is releasing 2 black glosses, which actually inspired this whole video. And they're also kind of re-promoting some other items, including their OG Diamond Bomb How Many Carats. They're also re-promoting their Shadow Sticks Diamond shade How Many Carats. And I have both of their previous black leaning glosses for comparison. So let's go ahead and get into some detailed swatches, comparison swatches, a look, and wrap-up thoughts. These 2 glosses that I'm holding in my hand are the brand new glosses they're coming out with. I was able to pick mine up from Ulta Early Access, but I do believe they're going to be widely available soon. As I normally do, everything will be linked. Thank you so much if you use my links. They really do support my channel. One of the other things that they're bringing back is their OG gloss called Diamond Milk. I don't have it for this video, but I do have their How Many Carats gloss that came out last year, which is pretty close. In my hand here, I have the 2 new black glosses that are on the right and the older ones, Kaboom and the shade Major Flex. I've already gotten a bunch of questions about how all of these compare, which is exactly what we're going to look at. I find it oddly reassuring how many other people are very curious about how these compare. Okay, the first kind of different gloss bomb that sort of kicked off all of this was Major Flex. And this came out, I want to say, almost exactly 2 years ago. It was, of course, limited edition. And knowing that, I picked up 3 or 4 at the time. I would describe it as a medium opacity gray gloss that has multicolored sparkles. The next shade we have is Kaboom, and this was a heartbreaker. This was a part of the Arcane collection that came out 1.5 years ago, and at the time that this came out, it was in and out of stock in a blink. And when that happened, I was almost sure that this meant that Fenty was going to restock it or make something similar, but no. I would describe this gloss as being a little bit more black than Major Flex, and it's somewhere between a medium and high opacity gloss, and it has multicolored sparkles. And this is where the new Gloss Bomb Luminizer called Caviar Crystals enters the chat. This is very close to Kaboom. In fact, I thought that these were going to be identical, and I think they nearly are, but I do think the new shade is a little bit more pigmented. And I've been questioning this multiple times, like, is it because my gloss is a little bit older, the Kaboom one? But I do think this is a true but subtle difference. So I think it's quite possible that Fenty did decide to make this one a little bit more pigmented. The other new shade that we have is called Caviar Crystals as well, and it's in the Gloss Bomb Shimmer Stick formula. With the Gloss Bomb Shimmer Sticks, I do find that you have a little bit more control over kind of the way that you want to wear them, in terms of you can wear them more as a light wash or build them up for a higher opacity, but this looks very similar to the Luminizer in terms of the tones of the shade and the multicolored sparkles that are in it. I do think that because this formula is maybe a little bit more buildable than the Luminizer, you can build it up to being a higher opacity. And I do think it applies a little bit more evenly in the swatch and on the lips. Here's what all of the shades look like swatched to my arm, and all of the labels that I have are from the wrist down. I do think the new Luminizer is a little bit more pigmented than Kaboom, but they're pretty darn close. These shades are listed as limited edition, but the Ulta shades, from what I've seen, do stick around. I suspect if it performs really well, they may keep it, but I don't know. Okay, and the next thing we have is the Diamond Bomb How Many Carats. I'm not gonna lie, this one right off the bat did disappoint me a little bit, not because I don't think that this is iconic as a highlighter, but because I genuinely just was hoping that it would be something a little bit different. Last year we got 2 new Diamond Bomb shades. Can you imagine how cool it would be if we got one that was blue or a rich blue purple? Anyway, I digress. I am curious to know, is this one going to be any different from the OG? It has a very smooth feel to it, as all the Diamond Bombs do, and How Many Carats is just special. What can I say? It's incredibly kind of sparkly. It's one of the few icy highlights that I think really does work for a wide variety of skin tones. Here's one of the older versions. It's definitely gotten some love from it. Now, when I swatched this, both on my fingertip and on my hand, to me, it looked like this one might be a little bit more scattered, a little bit less kind of concentrated. I have the newer one on the left and the older one on the right. And again, I don't know if I'm splitting hairs, but I am curious and I am going to apply them side by side just so we can get a closer look. Okay, the other product that they're sort of re-promoting, which I don't mind because I genuinely really love this product, I just wish they would make more shades, is the Shadow Sticks Diamonds. And this is the shade How Many Carats? I've been cheering this formula on since it came out. It's just really sparkly and beautiful. They currently have it in 3 shades, one that's a lavender, one that is this one, the How Many Carats one, and one that's more of a champagne, and they're all really sparkly. They have kind of a drier feel to it. In my experience, they don't crease and they last well. I like pairing them with some type of matte shadow, just as kind of an all-over lid shade. And as I also mentioned, they are bringing back Diamond Milk. Diamond Milk is basically a sheer diamond-like gloss, and it's very similar to How Many Carats in the Gloss Bomb Shimmer Stick. I would say you don't need both. It's a matter of which formula do you like better. So this macro swatch will show you that you have some silver sparkles, some faint green sparkles, and pink sparkles, which gives it a pretty multi-dimensional look. And here's what all the shades I just talked about look like swatched to my arm. All of these are available at Ulta for early access. They'll be widely available soon, I believe, definitely on the Fenty website and hopefully internationally as well. All right, let's go ahead and get into doing a look using these products. Some of them are new, some of them are not new, and I am curious what the side-by-side comparisons, especially of How Many Carats, is going to look like. I'm going to start off with using one of the newer blushes. I actually have a dedicated video on these from a few months ago at this point. Now this is the shade Violet Vices, which is the deepest of the 5 shades they came out with. I'm going to use this blush brush from REM Beauty. They were having a pretty big site-wide sale, or nearly site-wide sale, a few weeks ago. And these brushes are such a nice quality. I do find this formula to be very buildable. Of course, the shade Violet Vices is the deepest of the 5 shades, so it is the most pigmented as well. Really only needed 1 dot for that one. I do find that it blends in beautifully with the skin. You can use your finger as well, but I think that looks really nice blended in with a brush. Now, I didn't get the new bronzers from Fenty because I wasn't impressed with the shade range, so I'm going to use one of the older bronzers. This is the Cheeks Out Cream Bronzer, and I have the shade 5 Teddy. Just going to pick up a little bit on my fingertip and apply it to the cheeks. I cleaned off that brush and I'm just going to work that into the skin. All right, and here is what the blush and the bronzer is looking like, all blended in. Let's go ahead and dip into How Many Carats. Now, I have to tell you, I am a little bit disappointed that this looks to me like it's just going to be the same How Many Carats that we've had before, just in new packaging. When I swatched it, it looked like maybe it was maybe a little bit more concentrated. I feel like I might be, wrong about that though. I feel like these might be exactly the same. And even if this one is a little bit different, I feel like it's probably not different enough to warrant having both. But let's go ahead and apply it. I do really love this OG How Many Carats. I just feel like it is, very unique in that it's an icy highlight that just works for so many skin tones. And I know this is not for everyone, but I do feel like it's iconic for a reason. Here's what it looks like blended in. And with flash, I definitely could have gone in with a lighter hand. I cleaned off my brush. Now I'm going to go in with the OG, how many carats, like the older formula, I guess, or the older packaging, and just apply that on this cheek. So, I don't know, like, to me, this one does seem like it may be more intense, and I think you can probably see that on camera as well. But again, you know, you could just probably build this one up for this effect if you wanted this more kind of sparkly finish. Here's what the OG looks like, and here's what the newer one looks like. And here is with flash and with flash. Okay, I lined my lips with a little bit of Carve from KJH. I wasn't sure how I wanted to do a try-on comparison of Kaboom with the newer shade. I think these are the same. Again, this newer shade may just be a little bit more pigmented, but then again, my Kaboom is, you know, a year and a half old at this point, so that could just be a consequence of it being older. But I'm just gonna put half it, like put Kaboom on this side, and then the caviar crystals on the other side. I think if you missed out on Kaboom, then this is great. Maybe they're waiting to see like how well it sells before deciding if it's going to be permanent. I think that they should just have a permanent gloss in the lineup. This has the same scent that their other gloss bombs has, which is kind of like a sweet scent. Yeah, see, more pigmented, but the exact same sparkle profile. I'm just going to go ahead and go over where I have Kaboom. And here is what Caviar Crystals looks like applied. I think this is a great black gloss to have in the lineup, and I am glad that they came back with this shade. So many people were so sad to have missed out on it. It was like it was just here for such kind of like a brief moment too, as part of that Arcane collection. So I feel like by the time a lot of people even knew that it existed, it was already out of stock. Now let's go ahead and try on Caviar Crystals as a Gloss Bomb Shimmer Stick. I'm happy that they came out with both because I do feel like there are people that prefer this formula, prefer the Luminizer formula to the Gloss Bomb Stick formula. I think I'm in the camp of preferring the OG formula, but actually I do like both. So let's go ahead and apply it. This is nice because, you know, you do have a little bit more control over how the Gloss Bomb Stick applies. Like if you want to just do it as a sheer wash like this, you can. Or you can build it up for more pigmentation. Let's go ahead and do that. Okay, here is what it looks like if you build it up just like 2 or 3 layers. And again, I feel like this has the same sparkle profile as the Gloss Bomb Shimmer Stick. You have some pink, it's multicolored sparkles, but this feels very smooth on the lips. I don't feel any grittiness whatsoever. So in case you're curious, like how does this feel on the lips compared to the other Gloss Bomb Shimmer Sticks, I do feel like it feels a little bit smoother. Okay, the other thing I want to mention is that they are re-releasing Diamond Milk, which is their sheer Gloss Bomb Luminizer, but as the original Luminizer. I don't have that for this video. I do have How Many Carats, so the Gloss Bomb Shimmer Stick, which is essentially the same thing, but this is as the Gloss Bomb Shimmer Stick and not as the Luminizer, so I'm going to go ahead and apply it. But I did want to tell you, in case you are curious to pick that up, and this How Many Carats Gloss Bomb Shimmer Stick is still available at Ulta in case you're curious. Okay, the other thing that Fenty is sort of remarketing as part of this collection is these shadow sticks. And, you know, again, I made a whole video on these shadow sticks. I think they're really nice, but this is not a new product. This is the How Many Carats shadow stick, and it's my favorite. This is the sparkliest one in my opinion. I so wish that they would come out with this in a black though. I feel like that would have just made so much sense with this collection. In case you're not familiar with it, I do think it's a great product. I'm going to just put on a little bit of eyeshadow. I'm going to use this Viseart palette. This is just like their nudes matte palette. I'm going to put a little bit of gray shadow all over the lid since I'm kind of doing more of a cool tone look. And then I'm going to put a little bit of this black matte in the outer corner just to create a little bit of a smoky eye. All right, now I'm just going to go in a little bit with this How Many Carats shadow stick and put that all over the lid. I feel like a lot of people don't know about these, which is sad because I honestly think they are really, really nice. These are a drier formula. You don't get any creasing with them whatsoever, and they are very sparkly. All right, and here is the finished look with Flash. All right, now that I've had a chance to do some detailed swatches, some comparisons, and a look, let's go ahead and close up with some wrap-up thoughts. So this is a pretty small collection from Fenty. Most of these items are not new to the lineup. So, you know, the How Many Carats Diamond Bomb highlighter is not new. And it's hard for me to know, like, is this any different than the old one? If it is different, if it's more intense, then I don't know whether it's formula or just because mine is older. Either way, you don't need to get a new one. Like, this one will, you know, be able to be built up to as intense of a level as the newer one. I do feel like what's really exciting here is the black glosses. I do really like that they decided to bring back Kaboom. You know, I don't, again, know if this one is a little bit more pigmented. And I love the fact that they brought it out as a shimmer stick as well. If anyone from Fenty is seeing my video, I really, really wish that they would do more shades of these shadow sticks. I think they're so good and definitely like underrated because I don't really see people talking about them, but I would love to have this in a black shimmery shadow stick and just more shades in general. Personally, I can't ever resist an opportunity to make videos about sparkly products from Fenty. I'm always going to have a soft spot for them, so I knew I had to make this video, and I love black glosses, as many of you know. I'd love to know what you think of this little collection in the comments, and especially the black glosses. If you made it to the end of my video, please leave me a black heart. As always, I really hope you found this video helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.